Hey there, want a balloon? Does it float? Sure, they all float down here. You guessed it. Here are 19 reasons to read it. Hey everyone, I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram. Welcome back to my channel. This is the place where I'm going through the works of Stephen King in chronological order and giving you 19 reasons to read each book. If that sounds like something you'd like more of, do subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos, and maybe check out what I've already put out here. In this video, we've reached 1986 and quite possibly his most iconic work, It. Let's not waste any more time. Strap in as I try and whittle down this beefy book into just 19 reasons to read it. Oh, and as always, there might be some spoilers ahead. Let's go. So the inspiration behind this book is part Three Billy Goats Gruff and part Weird Bridge. In 1978, King was living in Boulder, Colorado, and he'd had his car repaired. He went out for a walk to go and fetch it and came across the Weird Bridge, which he described as humped and oddly quaint. That got his mind thinking to trolls and Billy Goats Gruff, and thus the idea for It was born. He wanted Pennywise to be that troll, but transplanted into a modern world. This book took King 4 years to write, but when you think about how long it is, it's probably not that surprising really. One of the key characteristics of this book is how it flicks between two timelines. You've got stuff going on in 1957, 1958, and stuff going on in 1984, 1985. We shift timelines and we shift perspective from character to character, from child to adult. In lesser hands, that would completely fall apart, but King absolutely nails it. Even towards the end, where we're literally jumping 27 years at a time, you don't get lost, you totally know what's going on, and you are totally hooked. So this one is rightly seen as a horror book, but it's not just that. One of the biggest reasons constant readers love It so much is the core theme of friendship that ties the whole story together. For all its scary parts, and yes, there are plenty of scary parts, there's a terrific coming of age story in It, as well as a good old good versus evil one too. So let's get into It a bit more, shall we, and talk about the part of this book that has permeated pop culture the most, Pennywise the clown. Pennywise is the most common form taken by It, the shape-shifting, child-eating demon that lives under the city of Derry, Maine and wakes up every 27 years to feast. Now it doesn't just show itself as a clown. Oh no. It knows what you fear the most, and it can take that form. And it often does that right before killing, because children who are really scared taste way better. So that means a werewolf, a leper, a flesh-eating bird. Yep, you're going to see all of those things. The thing is though, Pennywise, It, whatever we're going to call it, isn't actually the scariest part about Derry, Maine. Derry, Maine is the scariest part about Derry, Maine. The town is dark, has a shady history, and the grown-ups in the town have a complete disdain for their own youth. You can totally understand why a beast like Pennywise would feel right at home there. So I've talked about the villain, let's bring in the hero of the piece. All 7 of them, the Losers Club. These are a bunch of friends who band together and take on Pennywise twice in their lifetime. Now I could easily use up the rest of the reasons in this video talking about all of the characters here, but I'm not going to do that. Just safe to say, they are an amazing set of characters. Their little club is a wonderful part of the story, and you will be with them all the way through. There's also another couple of villains to mention, starting off with the quite terrifying Henry Bowers. He's not supernatural, he's just a horrible, violent, psychopathic greaser. But to be honest, he's actually scarier than the clown. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say it. Henry Bowers is quite possibly the scariest Stephen King villain of all time. There you go, I've said it. Honourable mention though for the creepy as fuck Patrick Hockstetter. Nothing to do with the Patrick Hockstetter from Firestarter, quite an unusual move for King that. Just more of a dead behind the eyes, fucking weirdo freak who does all kinds of horrible things in this book. But as karma, what happens to him in his special fridge? Oh, hi there, Dick Halloran from The Shining. Fancy seeing you here. So there's plenty in this book which is iconic, but the part that is particularly iconic has to be the opening. That's where little Georgie Denborough goes out in the rain with his yellow coat on, chasing his paper boat, which falls down the drain, and he ends up meeting Pennywise. And, well, it doesn't go too well for little Georgie. Even though you probably know what's happening, it's still so fucking good. Okay, let's do my own personal top 3 scariest scenes with Pennywise, shall we? At number 3, Mike and the Giant Bird. At number 2, adult Bev going back to her old house and meeting the witch from Hansel and Gretel. And at number 1, for me anyway, the scene where Pennywise is on the frozen canal and the balloons are coming towards Ben, even though there's no wind and that shouldn't be possible at all. It's fucking terrifying. Got under my skin first time I read it, and it's still there right now. Shall we also rattle through some of the pieces of King lore that originated in this book? To start, we've got the Barrens, an area of kind of marshy wasteland just outside Derry, where the kids really make their own, spend their time hanging out, or use it as a refuge to run away from bullies or, killer clowns. It sounds kind of awful, but kind of cool at the same time. Definitely the sort of place that you can imagine yourself hanging out in as a 12-year-old. Second, your hair is winter fire, January embers. My heart burns there too. That's the poem Ben writes for Bev, and it is fucking beautiful. Third, hi-ho Silver, away! Silver is the name of Big Bill's bike, and boy does he fucking love that thing. So there's something else I should probably mention before we wrap this video up, but it's kind of an awkward one. Yeah, I'm talking about the underage gangbang orgy in the sewers towards the end of the book. I mean, there's no real way of saying what I'm going to say next without sounding like a fucking freak, but in context, it kind of works. It brings the friends back together. It's a strong part of the coming of age theme, and it's kids having sex with each other. It's weird, but it does help them come back together and find themselves, and is perhaps even more powerful than the blood oath they swear together later on. But it is still a what the actual fuck moment. No wonder it never made any of the movies. So lastly, with this book, it would be easy for outsiders to just write it off as a stupid book about a killer clown, but it is so much more than that. There is so much heart to this book, and even though it is more than 1,000 pages long, it is King on absolute top form. I've kind of held back in this video because really, if you've not read it yet, I want you to go and discover it for yourself. But just trust me when I say it absolutely fucking slams. So there you go, 19 reasons to read It by Stephen King. Do let me know what you think in the comments. If you've not read It before, go and read It. And if you have read It before, go and read It again. I'll stop doing that now. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe if you want more videos. I won't say the word it quite as often in the other ones. And if you want to come and say hi on Instagram, I'm at Dave Musson. Next up, we are going back to Midworld, but until then, take care and watch out for the sewers.